The cerebrum is at the top of your brain, and this coordinates complex somatic motor patterns and adjusts output of other somatic motor centers in the brain and spinal cord. The cerebral cortex covers the uppermost part of the brain. It is responsible for higher thought processes, including speech and decision making. Some parts of it include the somatosensory cortex. This receives all sensory input from the body. It is located in the ridge of cortex called the postcentral gyrus, which is found in the parietal lobe, and it runs down the side of the cerebral cortex. Another part is the motor cortex. This generates neural impulses that control the execution of movement. It is located in the rear portion of the frontal lobe, just before the central sulcus that separates the frontal lobe from the parietal lobe. The cerebellum is the lower area of the brain in the back. It receives information from the sensory systems, the spinal cord, and other parts of the brain, and then regulates motor movements. The diencephalon is in the center of the brain. It relays sensory information between brain regions and controls many autonomic functions of the peripheral nervous system. Some parts of it include the corpus callosum. It divides the cerebral cortex lobes into left and right hemispheres. It is to integrate motor, sensory, and cognitive performances between the cerebral cortex on one side of the brain to the same region on the other side. Another is the thalamus. This has several functions such as relaying of sensory signals, including motor signals to the cerebral cortex and the regulation of consciousness, sleep, and alertness. It is above the brainstem between the cerebral cortex and the midbrain. Another is the hypothalamus. This links the nervous system to the endocrine system via the pituitary gland. It is located below the thalamus and is part of the limbic system. Also, there's the pituitary glands, which secrete hormones into your bloodstream. They are between the hypothalamus and the pineal gland, just behind the bridge of the nose. Also, the hippocampus is located within the brain's medial temporal lobe. It is associated mainly with memory, in particular long-term memory. There's also the amygdala. It is located in the temporal side lobe of the brain and is responsible for emotions, survival instincts, and memory. Also, there's the optic chiasma. It is located at the bottom of the brain, inferior to the hypothalamus. It connects the brain and the eye and is responsible for vision and eye-hand coordination. Lastly, there's the pineal gland. It produces and regulates some hormones. It is in the back portion of the third cerebral ventricle of the brain. There is also the brainstem. This controls the flow of messages between the brain and the rest of the body, and also controls basic body functions such as breathing, swallowing, heart rate, blood pressure, consciousness, and being asleep or not. It is at the bottom, connecting the cerebrum and the spinal cord. This includes areas like the midbrain. The midbrain serves important functions in motor movement, particular movements of the eye, and in auditory and visual processing. It is below the diencephalon and above the pons. The pons sits directly above the medulla. It serves as a message station between several areas of the brain, and it helps relay messages from the cortex and the cerebellum. Lastly is the medulla oblongata. It helps regulate breathing, heart and blood vessel function, digestion, sneezing, and swallowing. It is located in the brainstem, interior to, which in front of, the cerebellum.